Hey everybody, this is Dane Reich here. I just concluded my run at the first ever Fusion World Finals event. This, I believe, is for North America, where I got top 8 in Top Cut and 3rd in Swiss, using a really cool deck. So over here, I've got some extra prizings, uncut sheet, cool mat, a whole lot of stuff I'll have to open in a bit. Really excited to be here. I basically got bullied into coming by a lot of my friends. I wasn't initially planning to be here, just based off of like some funding stuff, but it all kind of worked out in the end. I think that I should be able to make sure that this was well worth the trip, and by placing, it certainly was. So we'll just go ahead and jump into my deck profile. We'll talk about all the ins and outs, everything that I did, and some of my matchups at the end. So I brought Son Goku Mini DA. This is our brand new red starter deck leader, and it's just an extremely consistent deck. The way that the leader works as a simple draw on the front into a draw awaken, just like everybody else. But man, this backside is just the pinnacle of everything red would want to do. So when attacking, draw, just like again, like everybody else. But then activate main. Once per turn, you can choose up to one of your battle cards and increase it by 5,000. And choose one of your opponent's battle cards and give it minus 5,000. This is a really great opportunity to push your battle cards to a good number, right? So a lot of the times you want to be swinging with 30,000 power cards, and red has a lot of 25,000 bodies that if you could push them to 30 is really great. It does have a little bit of the Beerus effect where cantrips are not as effective, right? So you can't really just defend those attacks because you go, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and minus it off the board. Just get rid of that extra combo power to make sure that attacks go through. So I really like the leader just from a consistency standpoint. Red feels like the most flexible color in the game right now from a playline standpoint, and so that's really why I chose it. I was kind of bullied off as a Masu, so I did unfortunately give up on our Lord and Savior, but I did use his energy marker. So we'll go right into the rest of the deck. So we are playing 6 total cantrips here, 4 Piccolo and 2 Goten minis. The reason I am playing Piccolo is because it has the Tournament of Power tag. This is just the proper one to make sure that you're playing in case you don't have one for Kefla. Nothing else really to it. I'm playing Goten because he's shiny. Master Roshi is not shiny. That's it. That's the whole reason. I am playing 3 Whis 1-drop, the activate main one. All day I wish this card was at 4 consistently. This is how you're going to be able to push early damage against decks that want to try to avoid your 15Ks, knowing that your 30s are coming. This is a card that helps consistently remove cards, or allows you to pressure your opponent's cards, where if your leader skill plus your Whis minus can put a 30 into a 20, and then you get to swing your leader into it, you might get to play a more value-based turn 3 or 4 play, rather than going for strictly removal-based plays. And so that really allows this card to have a lot of flexibility. There's just a lot to really love about this card. I wish it was at 4 all day. I'd probably even just increase from 50 to 51 if I really had to, because I like the 6 cantrips. It just feels really consistent. So if I played just a 4th Whis, that would be totally fine by me. For Margarita, it's just game-ending power. That's really all it is. At the end of the day, you're just going to add some 10Ks. I don't know why she has 10K combo power, so the reason I played 4, I know that you might only use 2 on your push, but realistically, it's just to be able to make sure that you can combo them and charge them at the beginning of the game in case you need them. Some more of those weird tech cards. We have Chi-Chi Mini DA. This is our new blocker. It's just a 2-cost blocker on play draw 1. As a 10K combo, it feels really good to have in your hand and in your deck, but as a blocker, there's a lot of times where you basically look at your opponent's board and you say, can you remove this while still putting on your pressure? Because not every boss monster is inherently removable, right? Yellow's boss monsters are never going to be removable, so if you could play this out, they have to find a way to switch this to rest mode before they'd be able to push any damage or anything like that through it. It's a really great early game if you do have to be on the defensive against something like the Aggro Baby deck that ran around today, right? Playing this on 2, draw a card, and just blocking the first attack that you presume will be a 30K is really, really excellent. Obviously, she has her weaknesses. As a 5K, she's not great against red. As a 2-cost, she's not super good into blue. But you just have to look at your opponent's turn and go, can this Chi-Chi force you to play differently? And with that, she's really solid. 2 Fuas, just additional minus 15 power. As a 10K, it just feels really great to have in your deck. Minus 15 does come up occasionally where you need to put a 40 down in order to get some random removal. It's not the best card in the world. In something like Beerus, it's going to feel a lot better just because you're going to remove 25s, not 20s, but it is still a really powerful card, and since it's on curve, there are a lot of times on turn 2 that you're oh, you played a Whis in the red deck, let me Fua, kill it, and then they have to play a different card that removes my Fua, or I get to use this to pressure their leader or combo out of their attack. The new shiny card, Son Goku Mini DA, full playset. This card's crazy. On play, it's a mandatory life take, but that's totally fine. 20k power, 10k combo, and then permanent if your leader is awakened, he's a 30. So naturally, he's like the best statted card in the game, just outright, right? There's a lot of like 30s for 2 that are like dependent or they disappear after they attack in some way. But this card is just a consistent 30 that is always on the board. It's a 10k combo in hand, and it feels so good. There's a card later that basically was the reason that I chose this deck and what made the deck feel so good all day. And we're going to get into it, but this card, just know that it's the definite best Self-Awakener for red. It's not close. This guy is unbelievable. 2 Khalifa to round out the Self-Awakeners. I was initially on Krillin, just didn't do enough, but the critical can really help against green a lot. Being optional is good. Obviously, you can play her off of like Kefla if you just wanted to produce a little bit of pressure and still Self-Awaken. Critical is just good against green. That's really all there is to her. She's just like a solid piece of interaction. And then we have 4 Gohan. I mean, the new Gohan Adolescence 3 cost, it's, you know, I say new, but it's, you know, 2 sets old at this point, and it's as good as it is now as it was then. The 25k is a really relevant stat line because then you become a 30 with your lead skill while removing a 20k outright. Like, you don't even have to do anything else. On turn 4, regularly, you're removing their 5 cost by going Whis, leader, Gohan, and just getting an extra energy for a cantrip, producing another Whis, something like that. Gohan is super strong, and he also, in conjunction with, again, the card we'll talk about later, removes basically anything in the, I think actually anything in the game besides Green Gohan 50k. It removes 45s, we'll say that. We have 2 of the Tournament of Power Vegeta, another target off of Kefla. Just a really great game-ending card. You don't want to play too many just because, realistically, it's still a 5k. You don't play it in every single matchup. One thing I think people need to start doing with this card a little bit more is, like, play it on 3, and then just use it as a swing to check for a card or, like, pressure a little bit, and just pop him popping something else. You don't always have to do this big discard effect, you know, to prevent the KO, especially if you're playing into, like, blue, now green. You know, there's a lot of ways for these cards to remove him, so it doesn't really feel that great to go, yeah, I'll just discard 2, pushing you from 4 to 3. Now, if you're doing the 3 to 2, that probably feels a little better, but there's definitely a lot of times where he's not the perfect card, and you'd want to make sure that he is at somewhere in your deck, 2 to 3 in your red deck, but you don't need him at more than that. A big MVP and change of this week was Son Goku, the Universe 7 draw card. So if there's a 30k battle card, he just draws on swing. This is what I was talking about for that value play earlier with like the Fua and stuff, with your leader and Whis. If your opponent doesn't like take the bait, or if they take the bait and let the card die, then suddenly you're going 20 into 20, they take it, it dies, whatever. Now you get to go for a draw card swing rather than having to put another piece of removal like the Vegeta or the Gohan into it, right, using a Rumchi, something like that. And when you guys have 5 energy and you just go like, yeah, so I'll just Goku and draw and then cantrip, pass after killing their card, it feels really, really excellent. The one of Kefla, can you believe it? This card's crazy. I drew like a god all day. I think I played this in probably 6 or 7 of my rounds. I don't know what happened. I just always had it. Dainreich special for exactly this card in red for some reason. Super ridiculous. I don't see why they would ever unlimit this until the game got way up in power creep. One of Jiren, this is an addition from this week, basically to help with the droids matchup. There's a lot of bait to be said about it. Obviously, it's going to draw a card every single turn, and green now has a new answer in Warm Greetings. So what you would do is, if you're going first, which generally you're going to want to go first against droids, you're playing this on 4, and it swings 30k. You then force them to have Warm Greetings, which means that they are Warm Greetings instead of going for additional ramp plays, instead of producing like a 2 cost that cycles and then draws a card. You go, all right, you have to Warm Greeting this, and guess what? If you're at 4 energy when you play Jiren, and then you get pushed into your energy, you're going to 6, and now you can start secret raring your opponent 1 turn sooner. So Jiren works really well into green. There's just not a lot of reasons to not play it. In case, like, I guess if you have to remove their board, there's times, but for the most part, if you're on 4 and you have it, you play it. It's also pretty good into black. It's not perfect. It depends on if they have the Goten in their deck or not. Pan is extremely costly. It's still a 3 energy to answer a 4, so that feels fine, as well as using the marker, but Jiren's a really great card. Terrible into blue, but you can just charge it in that case, right? We played 3 Rumchis. Just a really consistent body. 30k, 5 cost. The fact that it's a 10k combo is a big reason to play it at more than like 2, I think. But it's just a very simple KO at 30. And there's a lot of times where you don't necessarily want to have a 2-card combo to remove something, and Rumshi just does it for 1, right? It's just a single card. It immediately removes it, and then the 30k 5 cost stat line is a really hard thing to remove. There's a lot of card decks that can't really remove 5s except with their boss monster. And if I Rumshi and your boss monster is like bouncing it to my hand, that's fine because Rumshi will just kill it right back. I played the 1 double striker. That's it. Occasionally it comes up, right? That's really all it comes down to. He does get to swing at 40 in this deck. Again, another reason that the +5 is super relevant. Swinging at 40 is way better than swinging at 35. But it just comes up where, you know what, hey, you're at 2, now I can actually close this game because I don't have to produce another attack, and I'm able to actually deal 2 at once. Just a really solid thing. I wouldn't play more than 1 or 2, but, you know, I could see an argument for a second one just so you can have it to charge at the beginning of the game. And then, creme de la creme, best card in red, the new secret rare. Just play this card at 4. Don't bother playing it less than 4. You want to be able to like potentially charge one, but realistically, there were games today or yesterday and today that I charged and went, oh wow, I really wish I had my 4th secret rare right now, or I would actually just play all 4. It happened plenty frequently. There's just no reason why I wouldn't play more. It answers most of their secret rares right back, right? Secret rares, Broly, etc. Because you're Daima, you're actually swinging 45 into like 15 or 45 into 20 instead of the standard like 40 into 20 in other red decks. So that really feels great that you're swinging just a little bit bigger, pushing a little bit harder. Maybe removing a 25 instead of having to swing into it is really nice. There's a lot of stuff that this card really does. The negate is insanely defensive. Right now, a lot of my games feel like all you have to do is stall the 6, like 5+ marker, and just start jamming secret rares for the rest of the game, removing board. If you ever get the chance to save your secret rare from battle, because that's like their only way to do it, you can generally dump like your whole hand to be able to save it, because the -20 and the 40k swing is so much pressure. So, really, just the best new card in red. For super combos, we play Kaba because it is the only one that is gold. Maybe they'll give us another one soon. All right, and finally time for the cool techs. We have It's Over. It's so over, dude. Activate main. If you have a battle card with 30,000 or more power, you get to KO all of your opponent's cards with 25 and less. Basically, since most decks cannot produce more than 130k per turn, you go lead skill minus your 30 down to 25 and pop your whole board. And let's just look at some of the 30ks in the deck. Inherent 30k. 30k with a Margarita. 30k with lead buff. 30k with Margarita or active or when attacking. 30k with lead buff. 30k with lead buff. 30k. 30k. 35. 40k. All of these cards just let you immediately board wipe your opponent for 2 energy. It's unbelievably powerful. I was on 4, but I just, for consistency purposes of I don't want to have so many dead cards, I did run it down to 3, but It's Over is the reason that I played the deck ultimately. There's just so much removal, and being able to immediately kill off like a wide board while also producing pressure is crazy, right? It's really cool to make a bunch of 30Ks, but if you have to swing into their board, that doesn't necessarily mean quite as much as if you were putting them towards their life and just putting on that extra pressure while removing everything. Into our very last card of the deck profile, we have one Saved by the Barrier. And this card is strictly for the Secret Rare War in the red mirror. There are times that you might play it in other decks because it could come up. It's also just, a 1 for 20. But realistically, what'll happen is that the first red Secret Rare will come down on 5+ marker. It'll swing. It will remove my board, do whatever. I'll play mine, swing into theirs. This is 45 into 15. This probably dies. They play theirs, mine dies. I go again with my second Secret Rare. This right here is where I now have the extra energy. I swing, and when I would get theirs off, you just go Saved by a Barrier, and now it doesn't die by battle. There is only like one deck that's going to be able to answer that, and that's going to be Beerus with a -10 using a Shin DA as an additional -10 for 1 more energy. Because there's just no other 1 energy -10s in the game right now. As long as you can save it with Barrier, you can't be KO'd in battle. And that's how they're actually removing it. They're making it tiny. They're making it very killable in battle, which is what they're wanting to do. But if you just go save by a barrier, now your secret rare lives. Come down. And then you get to go, well, my secret rare lives, I play mine, a second one, you've got yours out, and now you don't even have to swing into their secret rare, you get to go both towards their face while removing the secret because -20, -20, and again, producing a negate. That's all this card is for, but it won me 2 different matches today, or yesterday, I guess, and just absolutely locked the whole thing. It's really just for this mirror, but it's still a 1 for 20k, so how bad could it be? That's really it. So let's see. In my matchups for round 1, I played against Jiren. Just kind of like a standard game. He didn't really see super combos, and that really cost him, I think, towards the end of the game. Just the fact that we're always swinging at 45 with our Jiren, or with our Goku. Really great situation. I appreciate him greatly if he's actually watching this, because he accidentally took one of my secret rares and gave it to a judge. So at the start of round 2, a judge ran over to me and was like, "Hey, don't start your game. Here is your secret rare," and shuffle, reset. So I was playing with a 49 card tech for, I didn't even actually play any cards, but same deal, right? It was going to be really bad, and so I really appreciate him having the integrity to bring it back to me. Then in round 2, I played another Jiren, obviously, same deal, but that time I used, guess what? Saved by a barrier. And I was in fact saved. I just immediately took over the game when I got to swing twice with 40, one is 45, so that's just going to immediately clean up the game. Then I played back-to-back Blue Vegetas. Both games just feel, honestly, totally fine. The first one was was not quite as close. I just felt a little more in control. I had early Whis, so I was controlling the cantrips, making sure that they were staying off the board, right? Everybody kind of started cutting the Zamasu 1 cost. So we stuck around until a Gohan or a Gotenks came down, and that was really good. Then what would happen is the next round, the 4th one, where I did play the Blue Vegeta who got top 16, Mindis. He was my opponent, and he decked himself out with Vegetos, and I had to do the most amount of math I have ever done in Fusion World. I went and looked at his, my assumed version of his list. I looked around, I saw, okay, well, there's only probably 2 1-cost Mai's in there. And he's got, only 2 5-cost Vegetos and 2 3-cost Vegetos showing, so those are probably 5Ks among his last 2 or 3 life, or 2 life and 5 or 6 cards in hand. And I just went, all right, he's got 1 super combo for sure, he's got 1 Pilaf for sure, what else is around? I started doing some counts trying to figure out what kind of combo power he had, and it actually ended up mattering. I was only 10k over, but it was one of those things where I might not necessarily have done that, because I also had the route of going Daima, try to poke for 1, and then going a Vegeta with a much bigger swing than I would have been able to produce otherwise. So it was a really good match. He had 2 Vegetos on board, the 6 cost. Make sure you don't swing with them again, guys. Just swing once, restand it, bounce their secret rare, and then they can't remove it unless they commit unless they don't secret rare, right? They aren't able to secret rare and remove your 6 cost that turn again, unless, I suppose, Beers can do it with Shin, Leader Skill, and Secret Rare. But round 5 was Black GT. He bricked. Again, top cut player. I don't know if he is in top 4 now or not. They were in the same match. And he did really well. I think he got it. Did you get it? He's literally walking past me right now. Yeah, so he actually won his match, so he is now going into top 4 and is in fact playing in Worlds. Let's go, Netty Ice! Anyway, so he obviously won and is doing very well with Goku GT right now. I think the deck is super strong. It's just, I feel like Black Saiyans are some of my easiest matchups. There's just no reason for me not to kind of win that naturally, and he didn't have a secret rare the whole game. So he wasn't producing markers, he wasn't doing anything, it just kind of steamrolled just because he didn't have any momentum. Follow-up round 6 was our stream and feature match against Nicholas, playing Highschool Goku. That matchup feels very, very easy. It doesn't produce enough pressure quickly enough for me to not be able to board wipe him all at once. Again, not playing Zamasus, so my Whis are immediately sticking around, killing off sharpeners, the erases that would get value. You can't really set up a Videl the prior turn and hope that it lives to see another turn so you can bounce and get a full turn of value. That just doesn't work against me, so it was very easy to do it. He had 1 slight misplay, but I don't think it really mattered. I'm sure you can go watch it and analyze it, but the matchup was super easy just from a perspective of my attacks are so big, and he's not playing Pilaf, so I don't think he was playing Pilaf, so
I don't think like he was constantly like grabbing back like enough combo power to even bother keeping up, let alone the fact like his pressure wasn't super great. And then round 7 was against Super Buu, my only loss, Majin Buu Evil, if you will, now, since that's what we're calling him. And I got wrecked. I just didn't see a lot of super combos. I did see Kefla, like for my 4+ marker, but that was the turn I died. That's right, he killed me on his 5 energy just outright. I didn't have I didn't have a super combo to defend a 30k that I was like, okay, well, I'll just kind of take this. So I've still got plenty of 10ks. I've got 5s. I've got a Whis on board, a Cantrip on board. Feeling pretty good about it. And I swing Daima 30. He takes it. I'm like, okay, well, it probably just doesn't have a super combo. I swing Kefla 30. He takes it. Probably doesn't have a super combo. And then I swing Gohan 25, removing the 1 card on his board. And he took that too. And I knew immediately in that moment that I was dead the next turn. 1 super combo in hand, like 2 or 3 dead cards, and like, yeah, sure, like 7 10Ks, but I'm like, I don't think that's going to matter here. And in fact, I was correct. This is the list that was playing Banan. He just lost to Natty Ice right there. But congratulations to him, just another really great player, and I got whomped, truly. And then finally in round 8, that was against droids, my only droids of the day. There was just like some weird, I think he just missequenced like a turn 3 thing. The matchup should be generally slightly favored towards them, I believe, but I did the Jiren thing, so I Jirened with 3 and a marker. He warm greeting it, but I think he just did the warm greeting out of order. If he had gone for his android ramp first, he would have been in a totally winning position, because by that point he could literally play Broly like a turn or 2 sooner, but instead he ramped my Jiren and I got to jam a double strike while he's at 5, putting him to 3 or giving me 2 cards, and he chose the give me 2 cards route, in which case then my Whis got to swing at 15 to him, and then my leader got to swing, still forcing out a card. And so like we're going into, you know, my turn 6, his like 6 energy, and I have 11 cards in hand, he's got 5, and I have a double striker on board. He is not removing this card at all. So he goes wide again, and then I just play Secret Rare, and it's over from there. There's just nothing he's going to be able to do. So that was day 1 of Swiss. I ended up with a crazy opponent's win percentage of like 73 or something like that. So 3rd place in Swiss, only losing to the guy who lost finals. That's really good. I feel like that's totally fine. Gave me an advantage going into Top Cut, where I played against Black Baby with the Saiyan package in round 1. And that matchup, again, very simple. I would say that it's probably a better matchup for me than the Black GT one, because their pressure is not going to be as good at the end of the game. Because they aren't playing the 3-cost Bardock and aren't able to like buff it to 30 and like just push a lot of damage there, you're going to be in a really good spot to constantly get ahead and make sure that everything looks really good. It's over is going to board wipe secret rares and their cards. The trunks can be a little tricky, right? Like there are times where the trunks might live and then their secret rare might live. But since you can still kill stuff in battle, you could also just like make a secret rare into a 10k with like a Gohan and your lead skill, and then swing into it at 30 and 20 and like swing with the Whis if you have it. Like the secret rares die, right? And so Black kind of lives and dies right now, those mid-range decks, off of a secret rare living for a turn, because if you live for a turn and they play a second one, you probably lose the game. But that didn't happen because it just never got to establish, and I consistently had It's Over, I had Gohans, I had Fuas, I had Rumshis on curve. Black's removal is still not super great. They can remove a lot of 3s, but then that 4, 5, 6, they have to Bardock and go -2. So it feels really great to be able to do that. And then unfortunately, I lost my next round for top 8, or in top 8, to Aggro Baby. I think I just played the first game wrong, and then in the second game where I adjusted correctly, I just bricked. That was like my only brick the whole weekend. Honestly, I drew constantly like 3 or 4 super combos. I drew really hot, and I don't know what it was. I won quite a bit of dice rolls. I think it was like 5 of my 9, or like maybe 6 of my 9, but it just really, the weekend was in my favor for wanting me to play this game. So shout outs a lot to a lot of my Minnesota guys. They are the reason that I am here, in the fact that I literally am here on a companion ticket of one of my longtime best friends. They bullied me into playing Daima and getting off Zamasu, which unfortunately is the correct choice, as much as I hate to admit it. Daima is a very fun deck, it's very good, and it is the deck that I had played the most in the set 4 meta. So a lot of stuff to go. I have my team, Checkmate Fusion, here. We've got a YouTube. It's all linked in the description. Make sure to like and subscribe. Do whatever you got to do, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.